Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Haunters, also known as Psychic, a Korean thriller from 2010. Now this film actually begins with an introduction to our villain, played by Dong-won-gang, in his younger years as a kid, and we see a bit of his troubled childhood and learn that he has the ability to control people's minds. After some traumatic events, he leaves his family, and then we cut to the modern day. Then we meet our protagonist, played by Soo-ko, who is a simple man, run into some bad luck. You know, he's lost his job, he gets into an accident, and all kinds of stuff. But he gets a job at a small shop, but the villain shows up and uses his mind control on everyone in the shop to steal some cash. As it turns out, our protagonist is immune to this villain's powers, which sets off a life or death battle between good and evil. So this is a pretty fantastic premise, alright, that sets the foundation for an entertaining film with some unique moments. I mean, within the first 15 minutes, you'll know that realism is not a big priority for this film. Haunters is more concerned with using its these superpowers, I guess you could call them, in interesting ways. And some people have claimed that Haunters is actually a superhero film, and in some ways it is. The villain has this pretty awesome ability, right? And he can control people's minds, and then after he leaves them, they have no memory of what happened. So that's pretty powerful stuff. His powers are not exactly defined in the film, but he must, you know he has to actually see someone first in order to take control of them. Then he has a little bit of flexibility, it seems, in controlling their actions. You know, even if they're outside of his vision after that. You know, but one consistent aspect is that they're always in the vicinity of where he's at. You know, I don't think he can, see someone and then control them forever. That doesn't seem to be the case here. So, there's some limitations. It's pretty cool stuff, but he has some weaknesses, okay? He's very fragile physically as a person. He has a crippled leg, okay, so he limps around a lot, he can't even run, and he's pretty weak physically. And that means that he's at a disadvantage when he's fighting our protagonist and there's no people around for him to control, right? And he also has a few other weaknesses that come out later on. I'm really glad the scriptwriters decided to avoid explanatory dialogue. They show, but they don't tell. You know, I think it would have been kind of awkward for this villain to start explaining exactly what he can do and what his limitations are, and they don't do that, so that's good. And then on the other hand, our protagonist has a few other strengths that are revealed later, so it's a really interesting kind of dynamic between these dudes. And needless to say, their confrontations are pretty neat to watch. The showdowns are definitely suspenseful and thrilling. When the villain takes control of a human being, they do what he wants them to do, but they're a little bit more sluggish in their actions. It's almost like they're not at 100% capacity. You know what I mean? They almost act like a zombie, actually, when he's controlling them. It must be some type of limitation that he has. It's kind of creepy, actually. The conflict then ramps up more and more until about the midpoint where some of the best stuff happens. You know, from the midpoint through the second half, you have some of the highlight sequences. I really like Dong-won-gang in bad guy roles. In this one, he looks pretty cool. He's got like curly black and white hair, which is pretty cool, and glowing eyeballs when he takes control of people. They do give him some development as well. Soo-ko plays a very likable protagonist. I really liked his interactions with his buddies. His best friends in this movie are a Turkish guy and an African guy, which is not something you see a whole lot in Korean films. They had like a really fun dynamic between them too. One negative that sticks out is the female lead character, who's really kind of a side character, and she gets like no development at all. She just kind of shows up a few times. Not a big problem because it focuses on our two leads, but I did notice it. And if someone wanted to do a higher octane version of Haunters, like an action movie version, I would be down with it. You know, Haunters is kind of a moderately paced supernatural style or superhuman style thriller. Okay, it has pockets of suspense and excitement, and then some pockets of like slower build up and character development. But if you got a good action director, if you got like Gareth Evans or Timo Tjahjanto and gave them this premise and said make an all-out action movie with it, with a dude who can control people's minds and one dude who's immune, I would be down for checking that out. But as is, I mean, Haunters is a very entertaining movie. You just have to understand that it's not like a full-blown high-octane flick. It has some slower moments, but overall, it's a pretty neat package. It's currently on Amazon streaming in the United States. There's also some, I think, physical media options for you as well. So check this one out. This is pretty entertaining stuff. And as always, I'll see you next time.